Recording in progress.
Mr. Swart?
Yes, ma'am.
So it's 4:59. I've been told that at 5 o'clock we will be ready to go.
Okay, great. I'll be ready.
I'll give the signal.
Okay, thanks.
Mhm. Okay, it is 5 o'clock.
Okay. I now call the June 16th, 2021 Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting to order. Item 3, public comment. Citizens who desire to address the board with regard to matters on the agenda will be read or received at this time. Members of the public desiring to make comments during this portion of the meeting will be allowed to submit their written comments to the office of the city secretary. Written or emailed comments must be received by 3 p.m. Wednesday, June 16, 2021. The City of Sugar Land reserves the right to remove any written or emailed comments deemed inappropriate and or not related to matters posted on the agenda. Comments or discussion by the board will only be made at the time the subject is scheduled for consideration. Ms. Secretary, has anyone submitted any public comments?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Item 4, consideration of and action on the minutes of the May 19, 2021 meeting. Does anyone have any corrections? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
I move we approve the minutes.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. Do I hear a second?
A second.
Okay, thank you. We'll have a roll call vote. Please vote yes or no when I call your name. Mr. Bavada?
Yay.
Ms. Peterson?
Yay.
Mr. Morton?
Yay.
And the chair votes yay. The minutes are approved. Item 5, public hearing. Receive and hear all persons desiring to be heard on a proposed special exception to the rear and side yard setbacks for 1814 Pinewood Court, Lot 13, Block 1, Imperial Woods, Section 2, in the standard single-family residential R1 district. Ms. Waller.
Good evening. So we're going to start out on the north side of town. This is in Imperial Woods, Section 2, applied in 1975 and annexed in 1978. And the proposal is a patio cover that is on the rear of the house and attaches to the front of the garage. Next slide. The recorded plat established an 8-foot utility easement, and deed restrictions state that a garage may be 3 feet from an interior lot line. However, the R1 zoning district requires a 15-foot rear yard setback and a 5-foot side yard setback. The existing garage is about 8 feet from the rear and 3.6 feet from the side property lines, so it does meet those recorded restrictions. The proposed patio cover is attached to the rear of the home and within 10 feet of the garage, so the garage is now considered primary structure and has to meet those more strict setbacks. So the special exception would allow the patio cover to meet the recorded restrictions as proposed. Next slide. Here you can see with the slashes is the proposed patio cover, and it does go within 8 feet of the garage. The garage itself is approximately 8 feet from the rear property line and 3.6 feet from that side property line. That front corner is pretty close to the property line. Next slide. Here is the exterior elevations from the rear. Yeah, 3D colored rendering. So as you can see, the paint and the shingles are to match the existing structure. Next slide. Here's a Google excerpt showing the lot itself. You can see here in the rear yard that there is just a simple breezeway across there, and they are proposing to add this patio cover to tie into that to get some more outdoor space near their pool. Next slide. An analysis of the nearby area does show several homes that don't meet that rear yard setback of 15 feet, as well as 2 homes that don't meet the side yard setback of 5 feet. And there is 1 approved special exception in the immediate vicinity there on Linwood, as well as 2 others in the general vicinity, but you cannot see them on the map. Next slide. This does meet the first 3 standard criteria, and as to the 4th, there are no apparent issues with public welfare. Next slide. The public hearing requirements were all met, notification posted online and in the paper, mailers sent out to property owners within 200 feet, as well as to the HOA. We did not receive any inquiries, and staff is not aware of any opposition to the special exception. Next slide. Therefore, staff does recommend approval of the special exception with the condition that it's constructed in accordance with the site plan and elevations as attached. Staff is happy to answer any questions you might have.
Hey, thank you, Ms. Waller. Citizens who desire to address the board will be now be received at this time. Is the applicant or representative present?
Yes, I am.
Do you wish to make a presentation, or do you wish to answer any questions from the board later on during this discussion?
Yes, of course.
If you could officially open the public hearing first.
I'm sorry. Okay. We now open the public hearing. That was, I'm sorry, that was Louis that was talking. Is that, I'm sorry. Who was the applicant?
I am. Louise.
Louise. Do you have a presentation?
No, she kind of covered everything pretty much that we're doing, that we're planning on doing out there.
Okay. If you're going to make any kind of statement, I need to swear you in. Or if you're going to answer any questions, I need to swear you in.
Of course.
Okay. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth in these proceedings under the penalty of perjury?
Yes.
And would you state your name and address just for the record?
Sure. It is Louise Lender, and I am representing 18114 Pinewood.
Okay. Thank you. Did you have anything to say at this time about the application?
No, sir. She has covered everything.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak on this application? Okay, we'll now close the public hearing, and we'll take up the consideration of and action on the proposed special exception to the rear and side yard setback for 1814 Pinewood Court, Lot 13, Block 1, Imperial Woods, Section 2, in the single-family residential R1 district. At this time, we'll begin discussion of the 4 criteria. The first criteria, the latest recorded plat of the property was annexed prior to being was approved prior to being annexed into the city. The plat was recorded in 1975. The property was annexed in 1978. Do we all agree on that one? Thank you. The second criteria, the latest recorded plat or other recorded restriction for the property establishes a setback or other regulation that results in a setback that is less restrictive than the setback required by the City of Sugar Land Development Code Chapter 2. Recorded plat establishes an 8-foot rear yard setback utility easement, and recorded restrictions require a garage side setback of not less than 3 feet. The R1 district requires a setback of not less than 15 feet for primary structures in the rear and 5 feet on the side. Do we all agree to that criteria?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The third criteria, granting the special exception will not establish a setback that is less restrictive than the setback established by the latest approved plat or other recorded restriction. The recorded plat for 1814 Pinewood Court in Imperial Woods, Section 2 established an 8-foot rear yard setback utility easement adjacent to the rear property line and recorded deed restriction for the garages of 3 feet. The applicant is not proposing to encroach on the 8-foot rear yard setback utility easement or violate any recorded restrictions. special exception will not grant a setback that is less restrictive than the setback established on the plat or the recorded restrictions. Do we all agree with that one?
Yes.
Thank you. The fourth criteria, granting the special exception will not be detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to the property or improvements in the district or neighborhood in which the property is located. Okay, this item does require discussion among the board. If the board agrees that granting a special exception would be detrimental, then conditions could be imposed to reduce or relieve the injury and make granting the exception possible. Does the board have any questions for the applicant or for Ms. Waller?
No.
Okay, thank you. As to this request, it is important to note that the staff has examined the proposed special exception for three key aspects. The first one being the public safety review. There do not appear to be any public safety issues or concerns associated with this request. The second key aspect is the proposed patio cover addition appears to be compatible with the neighborhood based upon the analysis of the surrounding area. There appear to be 6 homes in the area that do not meet the rear yard setback, side setback, or a combination of the 2 setbacks. There are 2 approved similar special exceptions in the general area. The proposed addition is in compliance with the recorded plat and restrictions. And the third key aspect is that the proposed patio cover addition appears to be architecturally compatible with the existing single-family residence and neighborhood, and elevations can be included for certainty. Does the board have any other comments on this criteria? Okay, thank you. If the board believes that the criteria have been met, could I ask for a motion to approve the special exception?
I will.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Peters.
The special exception to the rear and side yard setback requirements in the standard single-family residential R1 district for the property located at 1814 Pinewood Court, Lot 13, Block 1, Imperial Wood, Section 2, be granted with the condition that the patio cover addition to the residence be constructed in accordance with the site plan and the elevation attached to the request for special exceptions.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. Do I have a second?
A second.
Thank you, Mr. Morton. We'll now vote on this motion. When I call your name, please say yes or no. Mr. Prabhata?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Morton?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes too, so it passes unanimously. Item B, public hearing. Receive and hear all persons desiring to be heard on proposed special exceptions to the rear yard setback for 2903 Greenfields Drive, Lot 34, Block 6, Colony Bend, Section 2, in the standard single-family residential R1 district. Ms. Wallers, yours again.
Good evening again. So we're moving over to the First Colony area. This is near Williams Trace at Planners Street. This Colony Bend Section 2 plat was platted in 1978 and annexed in 1997 with the rest of First Colony. And again, the proposal is a patio cover on the rear of the house, and this one does connect directly to the front of the garage. Next slide. The recorded plat established an 8-foot rear utility easement. However, zoning requires a 15-foot rear yard setback. The existing garage is approximately 8 foot 3 inches from the rear property line and does meet that recorded restriction. The garage is currently connected via a breezeway, thus it's considered accessory. However, the new patio cover is attaching to the rear of the home and the front of the garage, therefore connecting the garage now as primary structure. So it would have to meet that 15-foot setback. The special exception would relieve that 15-foot setback and allow the garage to meet the recorded setback of 8 feet as recorded on the plat. Next slide. Here's a site plan showing the new patio cover. You can see there it's at the rear of the house and does connect directly to the front of that garage. And the garage does get up to about 8 foot 3 inches from the rear property line. Next slide. Elevations here show the roof tying directly into the garage. with shingles that do match the existing house. Next slide. Here's the Google excerpt showing the house there on the corner. This would go directly at the rear of the house and connect to the front of the garage. Next slide. An aerial analysis of the area does show about 5 homes nearby that don't appear to meet the rear yard setback of 15 feet. And there are 6 approved special exceptions here shown in the map. Next slide. This does meet the first 3 standard criteria, and as to the 4th, there are no apparent issues. Next slide. Public hearing requirements were met. Notification was posted in the newspaper and online. Property owners were sent mailers, as well as the HOA, and an online form was made available. However, staff did not receive any inquiry and is not aware of any opposition. Next slide. Therefore, staff does recommend approval of the patio cover with the condition that it's constructed in accordance with the attached site plan and elevations. And the applicant has it in a statement that's going to be read into the record.
Okay, on the statement, are you going to read it into the record, or does who reads that into there? Or does the applicant
will.
read it? Okay, thank you.
The city secretary is going to read it into the record.
Okay.
The city secretary.
Do we need to open the public hearing first?
Yes.
Okay, we'll now open the public hearing, and Ms. Rankin, I guess you're up.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So Mr. and Mrs. Patel, owners of the home located at 2903 Greenfields Drive, has made the following statement, asked that it be read. Here are some facts about our home located at 2903 Greenfields Drive, Sugar Land, Texas, 77479. This information may be helpful in approving exception from current 15-foot utility easement requirement by zoning department of the city of Sugar Land for a new patio construction in our house's backyard. Our home is located on lot 34 in block 6 of Colony Bend, section 2, in addition in Fort Bend County, Texas, according to the map or plat thereof, recorded in volume 22, page 24 of the plat records of Fort Bend County, Texas. We moved into this house when it was newly built by Perry Homes in 1981 and have lived here since then. In 1981, when our home was built, we were part of Fort Bend County and were not annexed by the city of Sugar Land, Texas. The utility easement requirement of Fort Bend County was 8 feet from the property line, which we have met all the time. This way, our home falls in grandfather's clause, as the utility easement requirement by Fort Bend County was 8 feet when the house was built. Builder has included a breezeway between our detached garage and the house, and it has always been there. Now we're building a patio which will have a roof that will connect the detached garage with the house's back wall. The city of Sugar Land Planning considers this addition as a new improvement which may need to meet new utility easement requirement of 15 feet. Of course, any side of the new patio construction will be more than 15 feet away from the property line. Adding our house's easement of 8 feet with our backyard neighbor's 8 feet easement makes total easement of 16 feet. We request the hearing committee and the zoning department of the city of Sugar Land to consider the above facts and approve as a special exception case to relieve us from new zoning setback requirement of 15 feet from the property line.
Thank you, Ms. Rankin. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak during this public hearing? Does the homeowner wish to speak?
No, pretty much said. It's already said, and
Okay.
Bad. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Do you wish to answer any questions later if they come up? If so, we need to swear you in at this time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth in these proceedings under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, sir.
Can state your name just and address for the record, please.
Yes, sir. My name is Devendra K. Patel, homeowner.
Okay, thank you. Is anyone else wishing to speak on this application? Hearing nobody else, we'll close the public hearing and go to the consideration of an action on a proposed special exception to the rear yard setback for 2903 Greenfields Drive, Lot 34, Block 6, Colony Bend, Section 2, in the standard single-family residential R1 district. We'll go through the four criteria. The first criteria is that the latest recorded plat of the property was approved prior to being annexed into the city. The plat was recorded in 1978. The property was annexed in 1997. Do everyone agree that that's true?
Yes.
Thank you. The second criteria, the latest recorded plat or other recorded restriction for the property establishes a setback or other regulation that results in a setback that is less restrictive than the setback required by the City of Sugar Land Development Code, Chapter 2. The recorded plat establishes an 8-foot rear yard setback utility easement. The R1 district requires a 15-foot rear yard setback for primary structures. Does everyone agree with that criteria? Thank you. The third criteria, granting the special exception will not establish a setback that is less restricted than the setback established by the latest approved plat or other recorded restriction. The recorded plat for 2903 Greenfields Drive, Colony Bend, Section 2 established an 8-foot rear yard setback utility easement adjacent to the rear property line. The applicant is not proposing to encroach on that utility easement. The special exception will not grant a setback that is less restricted than the setback established on the plat or other recorded restriction. Everyone agree to that criteria?
Yes.
Thank you. And the fourth criteria, granting the special exception will not be detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to the property or improvements in the district or neighborhood in which the property is located. And the board, does the board have any questions or comments about this criteria? Okay. As to this request, it is important to note that the staff has examined that the proposed special exception for three key aspects. The public safety review. There do not appear to be any public safety issues or concerns associated with this request. The proposal and the neighborhood rear yard setback comparison. The proposed patio cover addition appears to be generally compatible with the existing single-family residence. There appear to be 5 homes in the area that do not meet the rear yard setback of 15 feet. There are 6 approved special exceptions in the overall area. The proposed addition is in compliance with the recorded plat and latest recorded restrictions. And the third key aspect is that the proposed patio cover addition appears to be generally architecturally compatible with the existing single-family residence and properties in the neighborhood. And the elevations can be included for certainty. Does the board have any other comments on this criterion? If the board believes that the criteria has been met, can we have a motion to approve?
I move that the special exception to the rear yard setback requirement in the standard single-family residential R1 district for the property located at 2903 Greenfields Drive, Lot 34, Block 6, Colony Bend, Section 2, Number 2, be granted with the condition that the patio cover addition to the residence be constructed in accordance with the site plan and the elevations attached to the request for a special exception.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Mr. Morton. We'll now vote by roll call. Mr. Pravada?
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Morton.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. The motion is approved unanimously. Item C, public hearing. Receive and hear all persons desiring to be heard on a proposed special exception to the side yard setback for 3002 Wheatrock Lane, Lot 8, Block 19, Chimney Stone, Section 2, in the standard single-family residential R1 district. Ms. Waller, you're up again.
Yes. So this application is actually for an entirely new home. They are going to demolish the existing home and build a new one. However, the deed restrictions in the zoning district here do not line up. The deed restrictions are for 0 lot line homes. However, the zoning is incorrect now at standard single family. We do have plans underway to correct this zoning. However, in order to be able to move forward, this home does need a special exception for that difference in the side yard. So this is Chimney Stone, Section 2, platted in 1981 and annexed in 1991. And again, they are proposing to build a new home. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, there we go.
Did we lose Ms. Waller?
Yes, I'm sorry, lost you there for a second. So the recorded restrictions state that one wall of the building or garage needs to be located on the side lot line for interior lots. The R1 district, however, requires a 5-foot yard setback. The existing home to be removed does meet the HOA requirements of a 0 lot line rather than the 5-foot regulation. The proposed new home will also have an attached garage that is sited on the property line per HOA recorded restrictions, and the special exception would relieve that 5-foot R1 side yard setback and allow the new home to be constructed as proposed according to HOA restrictions. Next slide. So here's a site plan that shows the entire lot. So you can see the garage coming, the driveway coming in to that garage. That line there at the top is where the garage does align with the side property line. And then the remainder of the house is the full 5 feet off of the side property line as required. Next slide. Here are the elevations. You can see here the front with the front door and the entrance to the garage, as well as the right elevation. Next slide. Here is the Google excerpt that shows the home itself in question. This is the existing home that's going to be demolished, and it does align on the picture you're looking at. It aligns on the right side, and then there is a patio area and then the backyard there. So this would align on the right side, on the same side that the proposed house is going to align on the right side as well. Next slide. An analysis of the area does show that none of the nearby homes meet that side yard setback because it's due to incorrect zoning. And we do have that corrective zoning moving forward. And there are 3 approved similar special exceptions in the nearby vicinity. You can see them there in the map on the left. Next slide. This does meet all the 3 standard criteria, and as to the 4th, there is no apparent issue for public welfare. Next slide. All hearing requirements were met, notification published online and in the paper, as well as mailers sent out to owners within 200 feet and the HOA. The online form was made available, however, we did not receive any or any phone calls, and staff is not aware of any opposition. Therefore, next slide. Staff does recommend approval of the special exception with the restrictions that the new residence be constructed in accordance with the attached site plan and elevations. Staff and the project representative are available for any questions during the public hearing.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Waller. We'll now open the public hearing. Does the representative of the applicant wish to make any kind of presentation or answer any questions at a later time?
No, I don't.
Okay. If any questions come up later, you're willing to answer them. So is that correct?
Yes.
Let me swear you in at this time, just so that you can answer any questions. Do you
Yes.
solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth in these proceedings under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Could you state your name and your address for the record, please?
Yes, my name is April Semino, and we're representing Haviva Kaplan at 3002 Wet Rock Lane.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And you did not have a presentation now. Does anyone else on the call wish to make a presentation? Seeing nobody else, we'll close the public hearing and take up the consideration of and action on a proposed special exception to the side yard setback for 3002 Wet Rock Lane, Lot 8, Block 19, Chimney Stone, Section 2 in the standard single-family residential R1 district. At this time, we'll begin discussion of the four criteria. The first criteria is the latest recorded plat of the property was approved prior to being annexed into the city. Plat was recorded in 1981. The property was annexed in 1991. Does everyone agree? Thank you. The second criteria, the latest recorded plat or other recorded restrictions for the property establishes a setback or other regulation that results in the setback that is less restrictive than the setback required by the City of Sugar Land Development Code, Chapter 2. The recorded restrictions establish a 0 side yard setback at one side of the property for the building by the statement, one wall of the building and or garage shall be located on one side lot line on interior lots. The R1 district requires a 5-foot side yard setback for primary structures. Does everyone agree to that criteria? Thank you. The third criteria, granting the special exception will not establish a setback that is less restrictive than the setback established by the latest approved plat or other recorded restriction. Recorded plat for 3002 Wet Rock Lane, Chimney Stone, Section 2 established a 0 lot line expectation, and recorded restriction stated that one side of the building and or garage shall be located on one side of the lot line. The applicant is not proposing to establish a setback not in alignment with recorded restriction. The special exception will not grant a setback that is less restrictive than the setback established on the plat or other recorded restrictions. Does everyone agree with that? Thank you. The fourth criteria is granting the special exception will not be detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to the property or improvements in the district or neighborhood in which the property is located. Does the board have any questions at this time for either the representative of the applicant or the staff?
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Are the elevations for the new home roughly the same as they were for the old home?
Not necessarily. I do know they are putting in a new house, and so I do believe that only the garage aligns on that 0 lot line side right now. So as far as that goes, they're similar, but the building materials might differ. April might know more about that.
Yes, it'll still be built back to the same HOA requirements. So we will be doing the brick in the same color variations as the home was previously built with.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bravada. Does anybody else have any questions?
I have a brief question for Laura, if that's all right.
Sure, go ahead.
I understand that this property and presumably the subdivision are in the process of being rezoned. Are they being rezoned? I presume I wanted to confirm that they're in fact being rezoned so as to permit a 0 lot line as per the originally recorded plat. Is that right?
Yes, they're going to be zoned 0 lot line single family residential so that the zoning lines up with the deed restrictions. Yes.
Okay. And just out of curiosity, was the R1 zoning here the product of oversight or something along those lines?
Not sure exactly, but we do know that it was upon annexation, so it happened back in the 90s.
Okay. No further questions. Thanks so much.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Morgan. Go ahead, Ms. Peterson.
This is also more curiosity. Has this plan already been approved by the zoning or planning commission, whoever approves it before or do we approve first? The new construction already approved.
So we cannot approve. So there is no other board that would review this. Normally, it would be handled through staff approval only, but we cannot approve it without the special exception first. So that's why we're here. It has been approved by the HOA though, but that's a separate entity.
Are there any other questions or discussion about this special exception? Okay, thank you. As to this request, it is important to note that the staff has examined the proposed special exception for three key aspects. The public safety review, there do not appear to be any public safety issues or concerns associated with this request. The second key aspect is that the proposed residence appears to be compatible with the existing single-family residences in the area. None of the homes in the immediate area meet the side yard setback of 5 feet. There are 4 approved special exceptions in the overall area. The proposed residence is in compliance with the recorded plat and the latest recorded restrictions. The third key aspect is that the proposed residence appears to be generally architecturally compatible with the existing single-family residence and properties in the neighborhood, and elevations can be included for certainty. Does the board have any other comments on this criteria? Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Morton.
I move that the special exception to the side yard setback requirements in the standard single-family residential R1 district for the property located at 3002 Wet Rock Lane, Lot 8, Block 19, Chimney Stone, Section 2, be granted with the conditions that the new residence be constructed in accordance with the site plan and elevations attached to the request for the special exception.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Privada. Now we'll take a roll call vote as we have been doing. Mr. Privada, yes or no?
Yep. Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Morton?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes too. It's approved unanimously. Going on to item D, public hearing. Receive and hear all persons desiring to be heard on a proposed special exception to the rear yard setback for 4423 Bermuda Drive, Lot 18, Block 3, Lakes of Austin Park, Section 1, in the standard single-family residential R1 district. Ms. Waller, you're back.
The last but not least, we have this Bermuda over in Lakes of Austin Park, Section 1. This is on the east side of town towards Missouri City. They are just off of Austin Parkway. The zoning is R1, and this was platted in 1987 and annexed with the rest of First Colony in 1997. And again, the proposal is a patio cover. Next slide. The recorded plat established an 8-foot UE, but R1 zoning requires a 15-foot setback. The existing garage is about 10 feet from the rear property line and currently connected via a breezeway, so it's considered accessory. However, the proposed patio cover is attached to the rear and side of the home and the front of the garage, so the garage is now considered primary structure. The special exception would allow the patio cover to meet the 8-foot rear UE rather than the 15-foot zoning setback. Next slide. So here you can see a plot plan. The front of the house is there on the right and the rear on the left. The proposed patio cover is on the rear and side of the house, where the house kind of extends backwards a little bit, so it's coming off the side and the back at the same time, as well as connected to the front of the garage. That's only about 10 feet from that rear property line. Next slide. Here you can see the elevations. They are tying into that existing breezeway, as well as the home and touching that front corner of the garage. Next slide. Here's the existing picture, so you can see from Google. They have some covered, some concrete already poured. They're going to be adding in a pergola as well as this new patio cover itself. Next slide. An analysis of the area does show about 6 homes nearby that don't seem to meet that 15-foot setback. And there are 5 approved special exceptions nearby. However, they're just off the map due to the large aerial easement there for the power lines. So there are some special exceptions that are similar nearby, just not shown on the map. Next slide. This does meet the first 3 standard criteria, and as to the 4th, staff does not see any apparent issues with public welfare. Next slide. Notification was posted in the paper and online. Property owners within 200 feet were sent mailers as well as the HOA. An online form was made available to provide comments as well. We did receive 3 general inquiries via phone, but that was because of a misunderstanding of what exactly the special exception was. They thought we were moving the property line rather than just removing zoning. But once that was explained, they were satisfied, and staff is not aware of any opposition to the special exception. Next slide. Therefore, staff does recommend approval of the special exception with the conditions that the patio be constructed in accordance with the attached site plan and elevations. And I'm happy to answer any questions after the public hearing.
Thank you, Ms. Waller. Is the applicant or representative here for this application?
Yes.
Let's first open the public hearing.
Oh, sorry. We'll now open the public hearing. Sorry about that. The applicant, was that the applicant talking or the representative?
Representative.
Do you wish to make a presentation at this time or answer questions later if the board has any questions?
I can answer questions later if you have questions, but I don't have a presentation.
All right. So to allow you to answer questions, let me swear you in at this time. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth in these proceedings under the penalty of perjury?
I do.
And could you state your name and address for the record?
Brian Thibodeau, 2719 5th Street, Stafford, Texas, 77477.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else wish to make a presentation? Okay, we'll now close the public hearing and go to the consideration of an action on the proposed special exception to the rear yard setback for 4423 Bermuda Drive, Lot 18, Block 3, Lakes of Austin Park, Section 1, in the standard single-family residential R1 district. We'll now begin discussion of the 4 criteria. First criteria, the latest recorded plat of the property was approved prior to being annexed into the city. The plat was recorded in 1987. The property was annexed in 1997. Does everyone agree to that? Thank you. Second criteria, the latest recorded plat or other recorded restriction for the property establishes a setback or other regulation that results in a setback that is less restrictive than the setback required by the City of Sugarland Development Code, Chapter 2. The recorded plat establishes an 8-foot rear yard utility easement. The R1 district requires a 15-foot rear yard setback for primary structures. Does everyone agree to that criteria? Thank you. Third criteria, granting the special exception will not establish a setback that is less restrictive than the setback established by the latest approved plat or other recorded restriction. The recorded plat for 4423 Bermuda Drive, Austin Park, Section 1 established an 8-foot rear yard utility easement. The applicant is not proposing to encroach into the utility easement. The special exception will not grant a setback that's less restrictive than the setback established on the plat or other recorded restrictions. Does everyone agree to that? Thank you. The fourth criteria, granting the special exception will not be detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to the property or improvements in the district or neighborhood in which the property is located. Does the board have any questions or comments about the fourth criteria? Or any other questions or comments about this special exception? Okay. As to this request, it is important to note that the staff has examined the proposed special exception for 3 key aspects. Public safety review. There do not appear to be any public safety issues or concerns associated with this request. The proposed proposal in the neighborhood rear yard setback comparison. The proposed patio cover addition appears to be generally compatible with the existing single-family residence. There appear to be 6 homes in the area that do not meet the rear yard setback of 15 feet. There are 5 approved special exceptions in the overall area. The proposed addition is in compliance with the recorded plat and the latest recorded restrictions. And the third key aspect is that the proposed patio cover addition appears to be generally architecturally compatible with the existing single-family residence and properties in the neighborhood, and elevations can be included for certainty. Does the board have any other comments on this criteria? Okay, hearing none, then do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead, Mr. Pravada, please.
I move that the special exception to the rear yard setback requirement in the standard single-family residential R1 district for the property located at 4423 Bermuda Drive, Lot 18, Block 3, Lakes of Austin Park, Section 1, be granted with the conditions that the patio cover addition to the residence be constructed in accordance with the site plan and elevations attached to the request for the special exception.
Thank you, Mr. Pravada. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. We'll now vote. When I call your name, please say yes or no. Mr. Pravada?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Morton?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. The special exception is approved unanimously. Now we have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I move we adjourn.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. Do I have a second?
I second.
Can we just do this vote by raising your hand, please? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The meeting is now adjourned.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good job, Herb.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thank you, everybody, for showing up. I know it was a tight, tight
Recording
schedule.
stopped.
Thank you.